discuss that on the other side. But let's move on now and in fact talk about the recent COVID resurgence, which is the other big headline in some countries. The pharma and diagnostic space is in focus. A lot of these diagnostic companies have, the stocks have risen. The companies, of course, have indicated to us that the testing has not picked up in a big way just yet. Vishal Manchanda, the pharma analyst at Systematix Group, joins us now. Vishal, hi, good morning. Do you see an outsized amount of testing now for many of these testing companies, and what do you do with the stocks, whether it's a Metropolis, Dr. Lal's, Thyrocare, Vijaya Diagnostics? Are you bullish here?
So good morning. So I think testing has not yet picked up, as you said, because we are not seeing any the intensity of COVID in terms of severity is quite mild. So we are not seeing patients who need hospitalization. So I think COVID is just like any other infection as of now. But there is a sense of urgency that we are seeing at the center. So probably we might see some regulations around testing coming up, especially on the travel front, which would be, so depending on how it spreads among the general population going forward, we'll see diagnostics catching up in the general population. I think it all depends on the severity of the infection. If it is severe, people would go and get it checked.
So is this a play, the diagnostic play, say a Metropolis or Thyrocare, something investors should consider just for the short term as this plays out?
So I think right now, I don't see any signals in terms of diagnostic tests picking up, because so far we have all been kind of unmasked for quite a while, and we have also seen people getting infections, but none of these infections turning severe. So as of now, I don't see any signals pointing to diagnostics picking up. So I think we should refrain from creating a position here in the diagnostic space. So as of now, it's unlikely, it seems, although there is caution at the center in terms of COVID resurgence. But I think it's better to wait and watch.
Okay, wait and watch. Some of these other pharma companies have had a pretty rough ride this year. I mean, Dr. Reddy's, for example, is down almost 12% for the year. But I was noticing in your top buy recommendation, you do have Dr. Reddy's, you like Sun Pharma as well. What are the triggers for growth, and is the risk reward favorable now?
So Revlimid and Dr. Reddy's unfortunately has seen litigation around one of its key drugs in the US, Revlimid. So that's probably creating an overhang. So people are not sure whether this Revlimid opportunity would sustain for about the next 3 to 4 years, which was earlier anticipated. So that's the overhang on the stock. So once we get clarity on whether how this litigation would unfold over time, whether generics would prevail or not, only then I think Reddy's would start picking up from here, or else Reddy's would need to get other large approvals in the US. So they obviously have been chasing complex generics, and they've been the first ones to invest in complex generics. And the other trigger for Reddy's is China, getting approvals in China. So both these triggers, if they play out, they'll kind of help Reddy's execute their business beyond Revlimid, and that will create more confidence among investors to chase this as a long-term growth story.
Vishal, what did you make of Ajanta Pharma? Yesterday, the stock closed with a gain of 4.5–5%. This is despite the promoters selling close to about 4.5–5% stake in the company. We know from the details of the block deal that a lot of marquee mutual funds have bought stake. I think Nippon has picked up some stake. ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund has picked up close to 11 lakh shares. And now the promoters will be able to bring down their pledged shares as well in the company. Thoughts on Ajanta Pharma, and do you think the up move can continue?
So Ajanta was quite attractively valued, looking at a very large portion of their business coming from branded formulations. 73% of their sales is coming from branded formulations, which is a structural growth opportunity. So it was trading at a less than 20x consensus EPS FY24. And if you look at their average trading range, this was much below their average trading P multiple over the last 5 years. So I think the stock is attractively valued, a good opportunity to kind of create a position here.
Right. In pre-opening, the stock is trending higher. Thanks a lot, Vishal, for joining in. That's the Systematix Group with their views on the pharma space and what to expect. The pre-opening rates have settled lower, much lower actually. The Nifty is down about 150 points. So looks like it's going to be an ugly start if you're a bull, that is. What's putting pressure on the market today is the banking space. So IndusInd Bank, HDFC Bank are under pressure. There's Tata Steel, TCS, Bajaj Finserv that's also indicating a red tick this morning. And what could perhaps buck the trend? Once again, it's defensive names, pharma names that are not doing too badly. So there's Sun Pharma, Cipla, Divi's Labs. Generally, there's a rush towards safe haven at